Good afternoon, folks. So I'm actually timed this to immediately follow Andy Edwards' Alan Holdsworth discussion live stream, which I found extremely useful and fascinating, and I would like to express everybody should be subscribing to Andy Edwards' academic pursuits and top 10 and bottom 10 type videos, live streams that he's been doing. They're very intensely valuable, I would say. But I do a completely different thing. In fact, for the longest time, I was promoting using the videos to promote my own artistic endeavors, building, making music, composition, recording, using Cubase on my home systems, whether it be the MacBook that I'm recording this on right now, or whether it's the PC that I use as my primary workstation, decked out, essentially decked out to the tits with 64 gigabytes of RAM and 10 terabytes of hard drive space and external hardware that helps to optimize throughput and the power, and being able to host many multiple VSTs. That is a separate discussion from this, though. For those in the know, I have for the last, since the depth, since being fully engorged in the teeth of COVID back in 2020, I have picked up the hobby. It started as a hobby and became a vocation of building guitars. At first, I was buying the parts off of the internet and assembling them, primarily focused on making sure that they're playable and very, very well playable, but also in the pursuit of tone. I was I am still one of the tone chasers, you could say, as I even noted throughout the videos where I was highlighting a lot of the compositions and what I was how I was playing, what I was choosing to play, the timbres of tone, whether it be from guitar or keyboard or bass, and really highlighting how those influence the composition, but also extending that to building my own instruments. And many of the instruments that were used on the Foucault's Pendulum album, the instrumental composition, the suite of compositions that I released back in 2022. Is it really that long ago? Wow. Anyways, that I released back in March of 2022 on Melodic Revolution Records, my close friend Nick Katona's label, and have a lot of amazing stablemates there on the label. Anyways, many of the stringed instruments were built by myself. Today, I'm going to present one of the latest ones that I've put together, and I wanted to talk about the construction and hope that this is somewhat informative. So for people who actually believe that this is something they would like to pursue, I'm going to give you a little bit more in-depth discussion and detail as to how this went about. You can also go to my Facebook page and take a look, and that's Facebook /Roberts-Philpott and go look through photos and videos, as I was very diligent about taking videos and photos of each stage of the construction of this body right here. This is all handmade. Now, in some regards, you probably can tell because it's not. It is not picture perfect. I mean, I can even see here from the reflection of the light that there's a little bit of a finish ripple here that could have been taken care of. But anytime I start to really mess around with things, and I could still go and I probably will still go and buff it out. There's just a little bit of a run in the pardon me, in the lacquer, and this can all be built in your garage if you have only a few specific tools, but mostly just woodworking hobby tools. Anyways, the neck I obtained about 3 years ago from a reverb listing, and the reverb listing, it was a used neck, but it's actually was sold as a used neck through somebody who obtained it through a Framus dealer or whatever, as it's stamped on the back, and I don't think you can see it. You definitely, well, you can now. You can see it says used. And so this is a Chinese-built Framus neck. It's got a dark rosewood fretboard, medium jumbo frets, rather tiny little fret markers, but they're nice. They're mother of toilet seat, and of course it was from a guitar that had a Floyd Rose, because it's got the Floyd Rose locking nut on it, which I've kept, even though this is not a Floyd Rose equipped guitar. When I first started building this, my image of it would have been a sort of a Panthera type body shape, where it was going to be a single cutaway and a sort of a hybrid, exaggerated sort of Telly Les Paul style body. As I was cutting the body, though, out of a piece of alder, and the alder was a little bit heavier, and the neck is not light at all. It's made of a rather dense maple, really good, and it's extremely smooth. It's made out of three pieces of maple. As you can see, there's a 1, 2, 3, and it's laminated, and they did a rather good job. You can still see the seam of the maple, but they did a rather good job of assembling it. It's a solid neck, and with a really robust truss rod on it. So it's when I got it, and I got it really cheap. I'm not going to deny that I got it fairly cheap, much cheaper than it would cost to buy a neck from Warmoth or any other manufacturer, brand new neck manufacturer, and probably going to be a far better neck as well, because it's sort of living up to a spec that the German company Framus had, and I've worked with Germans, whether it's with Mercedes-Benz, or whether it was with individuals that were working for Intel, colleagues of mine when I was at Intel, and Microsoft and Google, that they're really exacting. The spec is the spec. You adhere to the spec. So this is actually an extremely good neck, very well crafted, and except for the finish, that I'm not terribly, it's more of a polyurethane than a lacquer. I did not want to go and have to refinish it, so I left it the original sort of semi-gloss polyurethane. It's really slick, actually, and really good. Now, it also has a very unique design in that there is it escapes me at the moment, but there's an extension of the neck that goes into the body, and set necks have that design, but this is a bolt-on and tenon, a neck tenon. It has a neck tenon that is the width of the neck that goes into the body, and it has 2 screw holes where you have bolt holes that go into the body and are accessible only underneath the pickup. Similarly, it had 3 on the back to be able to really, in that regard, it's again a little bit over engineered, but they had 5 bolts mounting this neck to the body, and it's super solid in that regard. When I got it, the bolt holes looked like that had been stripped a little bit on a couple of holes that were here. And so I took some dowels, some maple dowels, and I filled them and then re-drilled them and put in threaded inserts. So this now, the neck has 2 threaded inserts, and the body has 2 threaded inserts from the top, where bolts go in to secure the neck here, and then secure the neck from back here, providing a really solid, and it would be very, very tough to strip out those anchors, those threaded inserts. I'm sure I could do it because I'm a little anal retentive that way and want to really tend to over torque. But this is properly torqued, and you can see this is very solid. I mean, this is like flush with the body. Now, the body construction is 1-piece mahogany. It has down the center, it has a strip of cherry that you can see from here. There's the cherry. And then on the wings, we have black limba. You can see that from the top here. The wings of black limba are actually cut to hollow out the body. So this area here is hollow. And to a great extent, the cherry has been hollowed out as well, with the edges along the neck and everything, all the wood around the edges here, essentially supporting the glue, the gluing of the black walnut top to the body. Now, here at this point, it tapers off to there, and there's still material left for the pickup screws to be able to, the ring screws to go into solid wood. So there's a fair amount of chambering here. And you can see I've got the cavity where the controls are going to go, and of course the pickup wires and the piezo bridge wires are all sticking out because we still have to do the wiring for this guy. So we're just using Type Bond 2 to fix the wood pieces together. That has not only been cut with a bandsaw, these wings, but I also went in and routed down in a sort of a cigarette ashtray style fashion to give more of a cavity into the mahogany. It also reduces the weight overall of the body. And then we've got a 1/4-inch drop top material of black walnut sitting on top, and those are all sandwiched together. And then if you go back to the videos and everything else, it shows the process by which we put this all together. Now, as I said, the neck cavity, you can see this is a rather deep, a very thick heel on the neck, goes into the body and affixes to the mahogany. It goes through the cherry and into the mahogany. So so you have a really effective transfer of energy from the body to the neck and back. So the string vibration that is fixed to the cherry, which is a very dense wood down the middle, is also being transferred through the mahogany into the neck and all the way through. So you get a really resonant feedback. There's a lot of discussion about whether the wood itself makes a big difference in terms of tone. You could probably argue that it does, in the sense of certain sympathetic vibrations, sympathetic frequencies that are transmitted based on the density of the wood, are accentuated because of the wood itself and the density of it. How they would affect the tone of the sound coming through the electronic pickups is probably very subtle. And I swear there are an awful lot of people out there who will argue that it makes a big difference. I think it's one of those timbres or colors that gives you that actually will affect the overall output, but it's not profound. Like you probably get for maple, a maple guitar tends to be a little brighter and just perceivably brighter than something that's like a basswood or a more open grain would that be more amenable to the lower mid-range frequencies. Okay, so enough about that. Now, what else has been done here? We have rosewood pickup rings. And at the beginning, as I said, there's a lot of things have sort of been morphing as we go along. The body shape is based on a design that I put together, that I designed up for something called the Blackhawk series of instruments that I started building. Had sent the designs to Indonesia and had a series of mahogany bodies with flame maple veneer tops made that were sent here with roasted maple necks, bolt-on necks that were intended to be a low to mid price, sort of a high-end SE, PRS SE type guitar with premium hardware and pickups. It's introducing a new design, a new body shape is really difficult. Everybody really wants to be the traditional. It took PRS like 30 years to get to a point where everybody wants that PRS look. I don't have 30 years, obviously, left in me. So I am making these instruments. They're beautiful. They, as you see, just holding on, my pinky naturally, very easily rests right on that 22nd fret, the 22nd fret that's at the top, comfortably. I don't have to sort of dig in or do any kind of weird stretching of my hand like I would on a Gibson that has a lot of the Gibsons that have the very large heel on them that you have to sort of work your way around it. This is very comfortable and very easy to play. And in fact, I contoured the heel to make it even more so. And it's still a bolt-on and still has a significant amount of material that it's attached to. As I said at the beginning, I was talking about going for standard size humbuckers, and then just going with a non-piezo bridge. But at this moment in time, I've decided I'm going to focus on using the hardware that I have. And so I have this Gibson Firebird replacement mini humbucker that's a 6.4 K impedance on the neck, which will give it a really nice, and I tend to like to go with like that kind of either P90 or a mini humbucker tone for the neck, so I can get a cleaner and a little bit brighter tone than what a normal humbucker neck would be. Pickup and then on the bridge, I've got a Dragonfire bridge pickup that is a 9.6 K impedance that has a higher output and has had profoundly good reviews online from the people there. Dragonfire pickups are made in Oregon. They're custom made, and so you can go there and order. They also build guitars, but I've been primarily getting their pickups from them. And I'm a really big fan of their humbucker packages that are more traditional, 59 and PAF spec pickups. So we've got the two pickups accounted for. The rings are made of rosewood, handmade. I cut them and then put in a natural maple binding around as an accent piece. It definitely makes it look nice. The rosewood is, of course, all rosewood has a big variation in tone. These were cut from the same piece of rosewood, side by side, in fact, and yet the neck pickup ring is lighter than the bridge pickup ring, but I still think it provides a really nice accent. The top I finished. I first started with a hand rub of brown, alcohol-based brown stain, and then used. I sprayed with the StuMac tinted black, jet black tinted lacquer, very light, very edge, and then rubbed it to get this sort of a nice, very subtle sort of a black burst transition. Looks, in my opinion, looks beautiful. The neck already had when I put the top together, when I glued it, I took the lighter parts of the top and book matched them together. And so I was able to take advantage of that and use the black lacquer. And then finally sprayed over with a clear gloss lacquer. And I don't necessarily like to get things to that, that really pimped out shiny look. I like the more matte look, but of course other people could really like the shiny look. But this is where I'm at right now. Locking. I put on locking strap buttons and on both ends, and then I'll talk a bit about the bridge. It's a Schaller-Hannes bridge. Some guy named last name of Hannes in the Los Angeles area, I think, is what the story is. He came up with this design. It's a bolt through design and string through, and so you can it essentially locks the bridge down to the top so that all the vibrations are being transferred through to the body, and then the strings go through, so it provides extra tension, just like on a Telecaster and on a Strat, but Strat's a tremolo bridge, but a Telecaster is fixed. It puts a lot more tension on the bridge, transferring the vibrations to the body, and then of course all the adjustments here are you're able to get down to a really fine adjustment. There are little Allen screws here on each saddle that adjust the height. You've got Allen screws to adjust the intonation, and it's naturally set at an offset to account for the string, the different gauges of string, and then you just have to do the fine tuning to set the intonation. But underneath it all is a little trench here, because each of these is a piezo bridge, and there's a wire that comes out of the piezo bridge. So I had to essentially drill or make a trench for the wires to go through into the body. Now, and of course, those little red and black wires with the plastic ends, those are the piezo, and there's a few more of them that are inside. You'll notice this this walnut, black walnut sort of block. I wanted, well, so for one thing, the original measurements were a little bit off. So I took that advantage of that to, and it looks like it's offset, but it's the actual offset of the bridge. The the walnut block is actually set in square to the center. But I had to move the bridge this direction, up this way, about a half an inch, and which meant that the screws that fix the tailpiece, this entire mechanism that's locked to the top, needed to be moved, and so that's what I did. And I used the opportunity to inset a piece of walnut, and I think it looks fine. I think it looks good. It's on the part nobody sees except for the person who plays it, and it's a feature now. So the piezo pickups go through. Now to talk about where we're going with this instrument. As you can see, I mean, the action on this thing is just blessed. It's amazing. This is an extremely well-playing instrument. There's going to be a little bit of polishing of the frets to do still, just making sure they're perfectly level. But everything is like I've set this up. It's really profoundly nice, and I can even play up here, and and the intonation's set correctly, and it's really well playing. Now, where is this going? So, like I said, I have piezo saddles here. I have 2 passive pickups, and generally when you have the 2 combination, you've got to have some sort of switching mechanism, but also a battery to power the thing up, the preamp up, and then also a blending mechanism, either that or stereo output, or both. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to have a volume and tone control for the passive pickups for the mini humbuckers in set up with a Gibson style toggle switch. So you can see I've got marked in where the volume is going to go, and that is essentially so that when I'm playing or when somebody's playing, they actually can reach down and with their pinky adjust the volume if needed. It's close enough so that you don't have to go too far to adjust the volume with your pinky, and it's far enough away that you're not going to be banging your hand against it if you're thrashing away. The volume, tone, and I haven't decided if I'm going to make the volume the Fishman Power chip, which has an integrated volume control or a balance control in there. I actually believe that they're going to be separate items, which means I'm going to have volume, tone, and the piezo balance, and then the toggle switch in this general area around here. So that's that. I've already marked the hole where the electro socket, a solid piece of aluminum that is threaded for the output jack. It's going to be like a 7/8 inch hole where the thing is going to be countersunk and put in. And then the back, I will have a matching piece of black, there it is, of black walnut as the control cavity cover. So there you have it. This is the constructed from scratch guitar body that matches the Framus neck. A couple of the things to mention is that I chose to keep the neck joint flat, so that which meant that I needed to elevate the neck a little bit at the joint, which is fine because I think most Fenders are that design anyways. Fenders and the PRS CE 22 and 24 have that feature. I've watched Joe Walsh's videos where he's being very critical of the Gibsons, and a lot of the Gibson copies that have the neck set too high. And so you end up with a little bit of a playability issue. The sustain is missing because he claims that the tunematic bridge has to be set much higher. Pickups have to be set higher. The older instruments, the fretboard was much closer to the top, and of course the angle was set to be able to account for the carved top. But by having the fretboard closer, he claims that you can have all the associated hardware set down tighter to the neck, which allows for better transfer sustain, et cetera, et cetera. But because this bridge system is firmly mounted tightly to the body, essentially really tightly to the body, I don't have that worry. And it's flat, it's horizontal. The thing I did forget to mention is I did do a slight, I sanded the outside edges of the body down lower than the center block, so that there's a very slight, maybe like a 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter arch to this thing. It's very subtle, is I can guess the word, very, very subtle. It does make it a little bit more comfortable, and you're not going to be essentially banging, your pick against the top and chipping away at it. I've also put in this the fabled drop top. The Stratocasters tend to have. I didn't go as deep as some other instruments that are solid bodies that I've done, where I've actually brought the cut further down, closer to the playing area. But this is a very comfortable addition to the instrument. It definitely makes it more comfortable to play for your forearm when you're playing, and if you've got your arm resting on the guitar body, without losing the really nice tight corner on the top edge. And I also put in a rib contour for the sharp-eyed people out there. I put a rib contour on here to facilitate going to some depth and to add a little bit more reinforcement. I went back and put in some additional mahogany on the inside of this, up to about like less than a quarter inch. Added some thickness on the inside for the extent of the cutaway. When you start doing these cutaways after you've put the thing together, it's really, really tough. If I'm using an angle grinder, a hand power grinder, or a rasp to shape this thing, it's really tough to know how far you can go. And so I reinforced the back to give it strength. I also reinforced the top by putting the same kind of wood, essentially taking the original cutaway that I did on the bandsaw, and laminating that on the inside underneath the top, and then making sure that the top was glued firmly to that black limbo that's inside, so that if I would have gone down a little bit further, you would probably have seen the seam of the glue of the inside, but I didn't go that far. And what it does do is it provides a reinforced and a larger surface area for it to be glued down to. So that's that. This is how. And of course, the other things I did was I took away some material to allow for a little bit more comfort. As I mentioned earlier, this is now extremely comfortable to get up to the topmost frets, and that's because of this. The pickup ring was also, I contoured it to match. It's a nice little detail that I put on, and then on the back side you have the contoured heel area where and you might ask, how come there's no grommets or there's no ferrules? So because of where these things are located, and the wood is actually really solid, I'm just choosing to put standard, just put the screws in, there are flat washers that are the same width as the head of the screw underneath, so that it's the bolt, so that it's got a solid piece that's holding it in. It's there's a good 3/4 of an inch, ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch between the bottom of the bolt and the neck, and it has been extremely solid. The combination of the 4 bolts is keeping it well put together. So that's that, folks. Thanks very much for joining me. You can the last thing is you can see where I've marked in where the volume control is going to go, and then after I put the volume control in, we'll be doing the final placement of the rest of the controls. And that's it. Hey, thanks a lot, folks. Have a great weekend, and if you have any questions, you can always reach out here on the channel and leave a message. I will say that I'm not sponsored or endorsed by anybody at the moment, but I am using the Ernie Ball Primo Slinkies, which are this interesting sort of hybrid between 9s and 10s. They're 44s on the top and 9.5s on the bottom, and I find them to be particularly pleasant to play. This is a 25.5 inch scale neck, which is a lot of my own design necks are 25. This is still, nitpicky. It's Gibsons are 24 3/4, Strats are 25.5. So this is closer to a Strat scale than it is a Strat scale rather than a Gibson scale. Anyways, folks, thanks very much. This is available. If you're interested in purchasing this, I will get the electronics done here in the next week or so with either the Power Bridge, or I'm going to go with the Ghost system, Ghost preamp, and I'll do a demo of the sound of it. But it is available. You can reach out. We can talk and see if you're interested in buying this. It is available for you, and it is a stunning looking instrument, ready to go and play live. Have a good one.